pray.
N'asaba.
And you say, but what is it today? My experience
Era nze mu
in
kye
many
nalaba
years.
okulaba bangi.
Now, I met Sarah
Nasinkana Sarah
when she was in P7 vacation.
ng'ali mu P7 vacation.
Primary 7.
Ng'ali mu kya musanvu.
I was in secondary 1.
Nze
At
nali
Mengo.
mu S1 e Mengo.
Then we had ebyabavubuka mwagiyitanga vision, that day dance, day disco.
Nga tulina disco eyo
That day
ey'emisana.
disco was in a hall, a Catholic hall somewhere.
Amazina ago gabeeranga mu hall.
Twakiyitanga kizibya.
We used to call it
Kati
Kizibya.
buli aboogera ebizibya balimu oluyaayiyayi mu kaseera ako. Kakati
Now,
one friend came with her.
ne tufuuka ba mikwano.
One friend came with her.
Mukwano gw'omu
Oba
yajja
okwoyo omulala
naye.
kuyambeko obwedde ovunula. Obwedde ovunula, you've did a good work.
akoze omulimu omulungi tumukubireko engalo.
You have done wonderfully. Thank you so much.
akoze bulungi nnyo weebale nnyo.
During that, she had a friend eyali omukalukalu.
yalina omukwano gwe who was a bit shy,
Naye nga mukwano gwe yalina omuntu gw'azina naye.
and that friend had another girl
Naye nga
another boy
mumanyi,
they were
ng'ono
dancing with,
omuwala ye mukwano gwange mumanyi.
but that was a friend that I
N'agamba
knew.
ono.
And she told Sarah,
Agamba, this is, Sarah, can you dance with this?
Sarah uzinako nono.
N'agamba, Michael. Zinamu n'ekyo
And
ekiwala.
she said, Michael, I've brought you a chigal.
Tuzina.
And they danced.
Ebiseera bye bayambalanga empale nga zikoma muno nga bazita nikabuka.
Those days they used to wear semi-shorts which were called knickerbockers.
We danced together.
Ne bazina bombi.
Afterwards,
Omamala.
n'ambulira w'abeera.
And she told him where
Afterwards,
she lives.
I got to know
Ne mama
that
n'ategeera.
I knew her mom.
N'ategeera nti actually mama wa Sarah amumanyi.
Now, her mom
Mama we
was a sister to the uncle who spoke here.
Mama we yali mwanyina wa
And
anke
this
yayogeddewa.
uncle was a very close friend to my dad.
Ate ng'ono anke yagambye nti muzibe w'amaaso yali mukwano nnyo gwa kitaawe wa Michael.
And we are neighbors.
Era baali ba muliraano.
Now, while I'm in senior 1,
Ono nga ali
after the
senior
vacation, Sarah came for holiday
nga bamaze olulumo
at
olwo
her
nga
uncle's
ageze
place.
Sarah n'ajja ewa anke oyo mu lummula.
And she joined the Mengo Secondary.
N'amala n'agenda n'ajoininga Mengo
Senior 1,
Secondary.
I was senior 2.
N'abeera mu senior 1 ng'ono ali mu senior 2 mu ssomero lye limu.
Ne tweyongera okuba mukwano mwewerekera. Naye during that time mwewerekera bwerekeza.
And they
temumanyi
continued
kyakola.
to be friends and they used to escort each other. They were doing nothing
Just
else.
feel attracted and she, like
Nga,
that.
nga beematira naye nothing else.
So Shala was a long time friend before I married her.
So Sarah ye mukwano gw'ebbanga ddene nga tannamuwasa.
I was the first one to give my life to the Lord,
Ono yasooka okulokoka
and I began preaching to her.
n'atandika omubuuliranga enjiri.
And our preaching place was at the post office.
Era nga enjiri agimuwulirira ku post
Bwe
office.
twatuulangawo ne mbuulira enjiri.
Nga batuula awo, they used to sit there
Papa
and then,
yangamba
she,
kale nzikiriza okulokoka.
and then she said, okay, today I've decided to get to
And
be
she
born
went
again.
to pray at that time. Where? KPC.
N'atandika okusabira ndoza KPC.
And that afterwards, when she was still young,
Oluvannyuma
Christ,
ng'era akyali muto.
she was one of the first members of World Trumpet Center as a church.
Oyo y'omu ku bammemba abaasookera ddala mu World Trumpet
Nga nze
Missions nga
sinafuuka
church.
member nga mutuma akyanjogereza.
Nga ono, before he became a member, Apostle was still
Nga
talking
I
to him.
know him.
He
We
used
are
to know him.
friends.
Nga abamanyi,
I could
amakwano.
preach as well.
Ng'asobola okubuulira.
I was a local already
And he was born again.
and doing my stuff.
Ng'alina ebyo byakola.
I was dealing in cars.
Yali nga atunda mamotoka ono.
And Mutume had an office there at Bahomex.
Apostle ng'alinawo
So I could
office.
go to the office.
Nga ono
And
agenda
sometimes I could meet him at Maurice Seldo office
oluusi nga
to
amusinkana ku
give
office
me
ya Monastery.
tips
Ng'amuwa tape.
about dying to self, because that time we were in a journey of dying to self.
Ng'amuwa obubaka buno obw'okufa eri omubiri.
And Sarah joined. trumpet.
Sarah naye neyegatta ku trumpet.
Then there I felt good.
Awo
But-
ne baba
I did not have anything like those feelings ended. many
biri
years.
ebyokuba nti beematira byali
Wano
byaggwawo.
bamubuulira enjiri nga biri byaggwa.
When he preached to her, the feelings had ended.
Ebyo bye twalimu by'omukwano
The feelings
gw'emmengo
of secondary school had ended at that
nga
time.
naye akola emirimu gye mpolampola.
She was working.
But afterwards,
Naye oluvannyuma
in the fellowship,
mu
we had
kuŋŋaana
a fellowship with Apostle Mulinde, Pastor Mulungi, who was here,
baalina okuŋŋaananga ne Apostle Mulinde ne
Mr.
Pastor Mulungi
Chiemba, who went to the other Lord,
ne Mr. Kiyemba yafa.
and Pastor Bob was here.
Pastor Bob yabadde olunaku lwekyo.
We had groups
Baayinanga obubondo bw'enjawulo
where we used to come together and
bwe
pray.
baakuŋŋaananga okusaba.
And we heard of Apostle Mulinde's testimony.
Ate nga baali bawuliddeko ku bujulizi bwa Apostle
Someone
Mulinde.
shared with us.
Omulimu yali
So
yali
one
yabagabanirako.
of our team members
Omu ku bwe baali bakuŋŋaana nabo
decided to invite him. I already knew him, but I didn't know about his testimony.
n'ayaniriza Apostle Mulinde. Ono yali already amumanyi naye
So
tamuwaniriza.
he came. By that time, I think he came alone.
Kale Apostle Mulinde kwolwo
No,
n'ajja kwolwo
with Prose.
yajja ne mugenzi Prosi
And he shared his testimony
n'ayogera obujulizi
of God's visitation.
Katonda bwe yamukyalira.
After he had shared,
Bwe yamala
I think
okwogera
I was the one who cried most.
ndowooza ye ono yasinga
And in
okukaaba.
that group, I think I was the youngest who was not yet married.
Era mu kabonda ako ndowooza yali yekka yali tannawasa.
I cried.
Yakaaba
And he asked us a question.
n'abuuza
If
ekibuuzo.
Jesus was to come today,
Singa Yesu wakujja
how
leero
many of you say you would not go? I was the first one to raise.
mwenna baani abayinza
And
okugamba
the
nti
rest also
sandigenze.
raised.
Ono yasooka
But we
okuwanika
were
n'abantu
also
bano.
seeking the Lord.
Naye ate nga nabo baali
But
banoonya
this
Mukama.
kind of testimony I've not had. I
Naye
have
buno
never had.
obujulizi bwe buti bali tabuwulirangako.
Nze kyavudwangawo okuddamu kulokoka
Sorry.
ngawo nenziramu
Yali nga yali
olunaku lwange
tagwanga.
olwolokoka ndukyusizza kati lwe luno
And that day he got born again anew.
kuba naliva mu angirikaani nga manyi okkirizibwa okuddamu n'olokoka. Si bino ebyokulokanoga nalokamu 85 ng'okoze ebibi bya myaka 2.
It's not this time of saying I got born again in 85 when
Ganjangu
you've been
okuddamu
sinning.
nenziramu nendokoka.
So that time he got born again anew.
And then they began asking me, Micah group,
Ne batandika okubuuza
Michael,
akabondo
when
ke.
are you going to get married?
N'abuuza Michael
And I go, I
owasadde.
don't want anything to do with marriage.
And then he said saagala kuwulira na
Because I
byakwasa.
had read about the life of Paul.
Kubanga yali asomye ku bulamu bwa Pawulo.
And I wanted to become like a Paul.
N'agamba yali ayagala kubeera nga Pawulo.
Nga saagala byakudda mu bakazi, njagala kubeera Paul.
He didn't want anything to do with women. He wanted to be like Paul.
Kati Pastor Muwange yantunira mu maaso naga saagala weerimbe.
Pastor Bob Mwang is the one who looked him in the eyes and said,
Lwaki
don't
bwe
lie to
tubeera ku
yourself.
missioni ne
Why
tuyita abantu be tusabira abawala basimba nnyo ewuwo.
when we go for missions and we call for people to be prayed for, girls line up on
Yeah, the anointing naga nedda ssebo
and then he said
Yeah.
mafuta, and then he said no.
bakulamuza.
And you know they want you for themselves.
Ne- kati time eyo nali noonya ne nga nze njagala mbeerera ne ngamba I want to marry a virgin.
And that time he was looking and he said, I want to njagala kumala
But as I was
kuwasa.
praying about it,
Naye bwe yali nga akisabira
I read a scripture in Malachi
n'asoma
and I felt it
ekyawandiikibwa
spoke to
Malaki.
me.
Mukama n'amugamba
Obutakuusa omukazi w'omuvubuka bwo.
for not to be deceitful to the wife of your
Ndowooza
youth.
Saala ye mukazi w'omuvubuka bwange gwe nasooka okulaba.
And then he said, but Sarah is that wife of my youth.
Ne mmutuukirira ne mugamba.
And then he went to her
And
and
I
spoke to her.
proposed her at Chibo Restaurant Nkuruma Road.
Na-
She was putting on a green kitengi.
Bwe yamusaba okumuwasa ku restaurant gye bayita Chibo ku Nkrumah Road ng'ayambadde ekitengi.
Abasinga mmanyi mwalaba ku Chibo Restaurant.
Have you seen Chibo restaurant?
Sebe twalina Chibo nga tulina ne Bibo walinga bw'oba olina omuwala
We
mutwala
had
okulya
Chibo
ice
and
cream.
Bibo. You could go and buy ice cream. Bimbo.
Ice cream.
Eh.
Bimbo. Esokoona.
Abagenzegenze mukitegedde waliko Bimbo at
Yali
Esokoona.
avuga ennyonyi yani pilot. Mukula. Yasobola okuleeta akafaako.
It used to be owned by
Omuvubuka
Captain Mukula.
bw'otwala omuwala n'ategeera nti oli w'amaanyi.
The youth used to take their girlfriends there, and the girlfriends would know that you're a
Naye
powerful
natandikira
person.
mu Kibbo kuba Kibbo yali nungi nga tusobola okutuula. Baali bajawulamu bagikozesa reeds
But at that time we sat at Chibo because Chibo was nicely
nemubuulira
made up
nga
inside.
simanyi kukwana gamba nkwagala
I didn't know what to say. I just told her I want to marry.
nemugamba Sarah
And then said, Sarah,
twasooka netusisinkana
the first met,
kaakati njagala kuwasa
and then say, I
ate
want to
njagala
marry.
kuwasa
And then say, I want to marry you.
nantunuulira
And then she looked at him.
ne kasoda ke yali anywa teyakanywa yakalekawa
And then the soda she was drinking, she left it there.
n'agenda
And then she went.
ne bwe twali tusimbuligana
But when we were
I remember
parting,
very well ne muleka nankulembera
I let her to move up
nga
front.
yalina kano kasiriti nga kasaleko
She had a slit when
nemutulira nga atambula nga this is the wife I want
he looked at the slit and said,
Alina engeri
"Mukyala wange."
gy'atambula ng'ajagala omukyalo ow'obunnya alina akazigo alina
She liked a wife with dimples, with a gap in the teeth. Nga yoyo.
then I have my sister
And
who went to be with the Lord
alina mwanyina yagenda
very close.
nga bali bumu nnyo.
I told her about Sarah
N'amugamba mwanyina oyo n'amugamba ku
and she
Sarah.
told me njagala akawala ako
And n'amugamba, I love that girl.
kasitoyi yakonamu stamp
And when that one approved,
ye yamperekera
she's the one who escorted
ne
me.
Bob yayogera
And then Pastor
ne
Bob
Pastor Lubwama James bwe twagenda nabo
and Pastor Lubwama James, they went together.
nenzigyayo Sarah e Butambala
And then they got Sarah from Butambala.
ne batugatta
They got wedded.
in 1995
Mu 1995
2025 now
2025 gye giweze kati
30 years
bamaze emyaka 3 mu bufumbo
we've been together
babadde bombi.
nga Teo bwe yayogedde
As Teo spoke,
embaga yaffe
Awo.
kati oli yali omugagga waffe
our wedding, Teo was the rich one
kubanga she was the first one to be married
because ye yali yamala dde okufumbirwa
to a man.
eri omwami.
Those were the first men who were in Container Village.
Abasajja abo abasookera ddala mu Container Village.
Kati I didn't have a suit.
He had no suit.
Nengende watu nemugagamba muko.
And then he went to town and said, speak
Ndabe
to
mu suit ze
Muko,
kuba yalina nnyingi.
and tell him to look through
Mpase
his.
Sarah.
I want to get married to Sarah.
Naye tomugamba nti njeyazi.
Don't tell him.
Yewe gye walabe mu kifaananyi era ogiraba yali nenenemu.
That is the suit.
Tondaba naye
It belongs to
esaati yo nali
someone.
ngisobola n'ettaayi.
The shirt I could
N'engatto.
afford, the tie I could afford, even the shoes.
Ate wali nali nkolaakolamu naye wano bwe nalaba Apostle Mulinde
But when he met to Apostle Mulinde,
nga tuli mu kufa
and then we were dying to the flesh,
ebyensi byonna ng'abiŋŋaanye
when he had denied me all the things of the world.
nga bw'osigala Apostle Mulinde oba owedde.
When you meet Apostle Mulinde, you're done.
Twali tuvuga kibaasi nga tuva Pakwaki somewhere Capitol.
We used to drive the bus coming from a patch.
Ne mugamba Mr. Chiyemba yagambye agenda kumpa sente za Capital. Bwana limanyi ebyokukola.
And then he told him that Mr. Chamber told me he's going to give me
Njagala
capital.
kuddayo kusuubula ng'ajagala kusuubula ngoye zino enkadde.
I
kwa
wanted
Mr.
to
Chiyemba,
go back and do trading.
so that I get money.
So I'm sort of funny saying.
Ne mugamba kuba ndina okulabira omukyala mba mpasizza.
And then he said, I'm married. I want to be able to look after my wife.
Apostle n'antunuulira.
And then the apostle looked at me
Nanga Michael,
and he said, Michael.
that is called prostituting yourself.
N'amugamba oba kuba kukwenda kugwe.
N'angamba ekigambo kyo
Kwetunda.
n'angamba today
And then he said,
we are an
olwaleero
egg,
olwayo tuli ggi.
but a time to come
Naye akaseera akajja mu maaso
will claw and this nation will gather.
tugenda kwogera eggwanga lino linaakuŋŋaana.
Nenkiwummula.
And then I rested from it.
Ebyo ebintu ne mbiwummula.
And then I rested from those things.
Era Saara ye bwe yansanga bw'atyo.
And that's how Sarah met me.
Naye okwanjula ku ebintu byange nabyegulira nga saagala kubanga nali saagala kintu kya mu Buganda bw'omala okwanjula.
But for the introduction, I bought my things myself.
Kubanga bwe nali nkola nga ninamu ssente zange ne ngula ebintu byange byonna ebyokwanjula.
Because I was working, I had some money, so I bought everything for the
Era taata wange
introduction.
nga mbulina ssente mugamba buli kimu nakiguze nga nina emizigo ebiri naye nagijuza sukaali munnyo.
My father
Kubanga
asked me,
ebyaffe tebyalimu nte.
do you have money? And I say, yeah, I bought everything.
Senga bagamba mpe nte 10 omukyala yandinemi.
If they had said, give me 10 cows, certainly I wouldn't be able to.
Kubanga ewaffe ku nte nnamba otwala kisambi eki.
Because in our place, if they ask for a cow, you just take the thigh.
Naye abantu bajooga mu Buganda. Omwana ne bakuleetera ekisambi kimu.
You know, in Buganda, they sweep for a cow and then you just take a thigh.
That's bad. Negenda tewe yalina emmotoka yalina starlet ng'ebikkula waggulu.
You know, Teo had a starlet which had a top
Tufuna
roof.
essuuti eyo gy'olabye.
Then I got that suit that you've seen.
Ngitwalira best man wange n'agimakinga.
And then I asked the best man to match it.
Nali mmaze okugamba Sarah nti lwaki tugenda ku Sunday
I told Sarah, why don't we go on
ne
Sunday?
batugatta.
So that they can wed us.
Oyambadde Gomez n'agamba over my dead body.
And then I'd asked her to come with a Gomez
Kubanga
and she
afumbirwa
refused.
mu ffu nze ku Sunday ne bwe
Because she
nyambala
was
ekkanzu.
married to a dead man.
Naye Teo yannyamba nnyo at that time.
But Teo helped me a lot at that time.
Omwami yali asobola.
And because also her husband was able to
Okwanjula kuwona gaana omuntu yenna nnyamba kuba saagala muntu ayita mukyala wange naye mukyala we.
the introduction, I refused anyone to help me because I didn't want anyone to
Kubanga
claim
mu
ownership
Buganda
of my wife.
akusondedde kajagamba mukyala
Because
buli omu n'amuyita mukyala.
because they have gathered some money for you, they will start saying it's our wife.
Era usually ng'omuntu wajja waka n'agamba mukyala waffe afuna owuwo
If anyone ever came to my house and said this is our wife, I would say, no, you get your own.
nange wange kubanga
This one is mine.
bitandika mpola mukyala wange obuzaala kaana ka muganda we.
They start like that, and then
nga sikyagala nga
so I
sikyagalira ddala.
didn't like that.
So that is how we began our journey.
But tutatandika olugendo.
Mbaga yaffe ntugikola ku Baptist Church Makerere.
They had their wedding at Baptist Church
And
Makerere.
Apostle Mulinde was the speaker,
Apostle Mulinde yayogera.
who at that time had one suit naye oyo gwe mulaba. Age
At that time, he
gijjukira ya
only had
green.
one suit.
Yajja nga yadde
Ya
aka green.
kiragala.
ng'ate ekyo kyamagero tubreakinze
And it was a miracle he had broken through.
okufuna essuuti eyo nga tufunye
To
breakthrough.
get that suit was a breakthrough.
naye nze ate nali musingako
You know, I was a bit better
kuba
than
nalina ka TV
I had a TV
aka red black and white
for black and white TV.
nengula ne deeka
And then I also bought a,
Deck, gye bayita
VCR deck.
awo nga wundi w'amaanyi
He was a powerful man.
ng'asula n'emizigo ebiri
He was in a
Omuvubuka.
double-roomed house in a youth.
kati nga tulaba teepu za serulo
You know, we used to watch the tapes of
kati
Maurice
ng'agira
Serra.
naŋŋamba mpaamu
And so he used to tell
nemuwa
me,
mu ka TV
you give me
ne
the TV a bit. So I give
nemugo
it
wange nziriza
And then
N'azza
I said,
ka
please
TV.
bring it back. So he brings it back.
nga bwe tutambuza obulamu
And so we walk like that.
n'afuna ennyumba wali nga wali Pastor Kayanja ekyaki ya Pastor Kayanja yasooka nga yambaawo
So he got the house where Pastor Kanja's church
time eyo
used to
yali
be.
nzibu nnyo
That time was a tough time.
webaazaalira Emma nga mulongo
That's when they
taata
gave birth
ate
to him.
omwana omu n'afa taata n'amugoba n'agaa temujja muziika wano nga muli balokole olutalo lwali lw'amaanyi
They
nnyo
gave birth to twins. One of them died and,
naye yamala
and they
alokosa
couldn't
musajja
bury.
wattu naye taata wa Apostle Mulinde. Anyway,
Yes.
that's a long story
It's-
that I can talk about
Olugero
between me
luwanvu
and you.
tusobola obyogera ffe ababiri.
That is history.
Ebyo byamabega.
So ne tutandika okuweereza ne Sarah.
And then we started ministering with Sarah.
Sarah became a very strong member
Sarah n'afuuka memba wa
of
maanyi.
trumpet,
N'afuuka muntu wa
and I
trumpet wa
also
maanyi.
became.
Nange ne nfuuka.
Maybe before that,
Naye ng'ekyo tekinnabaawo.
there was a struggle.
Waaliwo okulafubana.
Because after telling Sarah, I want to marry you, she told me, let me pray. You go and pray.
Bwe namala omugamba nti nyakuwasa n'agamba kamugende mbisabireko.
But I was already ministering with Apostle Mulinde.
Naye ng'olwedde empeereza n'apooso.
And that night,
Era ekiro ekyo
we were going to anoint people, and the apostle stood there. I stood the other
twali
side.
tugenda kusiiga bantu mafuta ne apooso n'ayimirawo
I
nange
also
nenyimirawo.
preached. She
Era nga
preached, and I also preached.
yabuulira nange ne mbuulira.
Then people lined up,
Abantu ne bakola ennyiriri.
and Sarah was in the line of Apostle
Saara
Mulinde.
n'agenda eri apooso
Now,
Mulinde.
before Apostle Mulinde knew that I had put in my application,
Naye nga apooso Mulinde yali ategedde nayogeddeko ne Saara.
he had not
Oh,
yet.
apooso yali tannamanya nti
Nga
njogeddeko
sinamugamba.
ne Saara.
So I'm praying for people. He's praying for.
Kati nsabira abantu wano naye asabira abantu wano.
And when it came to Sarah's turn,
Kati bwe yatuuka ku kaseera ka Saara,
n'amuteekako omukono,
and then he placed his hand on her.
n'ayogera ekigambo ye
And then
ky'atamanyi.
And then he said this
N'agamba
word.
lwaki olwana ne Mukama.
And then he said, why are you fighting with
Ng'ate
God?
Sarah yali agasigenda kufumbira musajja ono ebintu by'ekisumba bizibu nnyo agenda kundabya ennaku.
And Sarah had said, I'm not getting married to this person. Pastors' lives are hard.
N'asaba gye yali akolera mu UEB at that time bamutransferinge anzirukeko.
So she had asked, she requested for a transfer at UDB so she could run away
Avire
from him.
omuvubuka ono omulokole amuzungirako
So she could be
amugwirako
far away
eddala.
from this miserable born
Naye
again
mutume
youth.
yamugamba lwaki owakana yali azze ekiro ekyo amale afune transfer.
And then the apostle said, why are you fighting with God? She had come that night so she could get a
N'agwa
transfer.
eri
So she fell over
kati bwe
there.
yagwa neŋŋamba whatever it is
And then when she fell, I said,
nalekerawo nze
"Kyonna
okwanuyita
kye ki?"
nensooka nduyo omuwala wange agudde
I stopped praying for this one and first looked at my girl who had fallen away.
naye whatever it is it must be powerful.
Neŋŋamba kyonna kye kiri kirina okuba nga
So the
kyamaanyi.
next day we met
Olunaku olwaddako ne
and she
twogera.
reminded me, do you know when Apostle Mulindo was praying for me,
N'aŋŋamba nti olaba Apostle
I
Mulindo
was
wansabiridde.
planning to run away from you.
Nabadde nga
But he
nteekateeka
said,
kudduka.
why are you fighting? Why are you, in your heart you are fighting
Naye
with the
n'abuuza
decision,
ekibuuzo lwaki mu mutima gwo olwanagana ne
which is a
Katonda.
yes.
Ng'ate nga olina kuba ng'oddamu ye.
Kati munnaffe bwetyo bwe twawasanga,
That's how they got married.
nga wateeka okubeerawo stamp eyo.
There has to be that kind of
But this
approval.
person is the one.
That gwono omuntu gwe ntwala ye
So I
ye.
believe that is the reason we moved together for all those.
Era
these years.
nzikiriza nti emyaka gino gyonna eyo y'ensonga lwaki tutambudde ffena bwe tutyo.
And we got children
Ne tufuna abaana
in those years.
mu myaka egyo.
And I believe Sarah was a wonderful, wonderful mother.
Era nkikirizira
Wonderful
nkimanyi
mother,
nti
wonderful
abadde maama ow'amaanyi era omulungi.
Not only a wife, but a mother.
Tabadde just mukyala wange
Not
naye
only
abadde
a
maama.
mother, but my personal sister.
Tabadde maama w'abaana bange naye
My
abadde
prayer
owange
warrior.
yennyini. Oyo gwe mbadde nwana naye.
My very good friend.
Mukwano gwe ddala.
Up to now, I'm still making mistakes. Kuba buli ekintu kyonna ze sina kyenkola nkyayita mami.
Nakati saawa
Up to
eno
now.
I'm still making mistakes because I'm still looking out for Sarah.
She has been genuine in her love.
Abadde ddala ddala omuntu anjagala.
And sometimes genuine in her love to me and others.
Abadde ddala muntu ayagala nze n'abantu.
Sometimes you could love some people and you feel like they don't know that she loves them.
Oluusi
Nga tesaagala bagamba.
oluusi ng'ayagala ennyo abantu naye nga tebamanyi nti abaagala nga
Mumanyi
naye
mubeera
saagala.
mu church mubeeramu eyo nga tebalowooza.
You know, in church there are
Nga
things like that.
abaagala nnyo nnyo naye nga tebamanyi.
And she used to
Abasabira
love them so
basabira.
much, but they never knew that.
But she was also a very energetic woman.
Naye ate era abadde mukyala ng'alina amaanyi.
Very energetic.
Mukyala w'amaanyi.
We refused to take our children to boarding schools
Twagaana okutwala abaana
until
baffe mu
a
kisulo
certain level.
okutuuka mu myaka
And she
egi.
could pick them, drop them, pick
Naye
them,
ng'abatwala ku makya n'abajjayo olweggulo.
drove in the morning, prayed for them.
N'abatwala n'abasabira.
Altar yaffe nga ye prayer secretary.
The prayer altar, she was the secretary.
Nga musabi nnyo, mukazi musabi.
She was a very
We
prayerful.
couldn't sleep without praying. Every morning we prayed.
Nga tebasaba tebeebaka
Even
nga
in the
tebanasaba
car
ku
while she's
makya ne
taking them
tusaba.
to school, she prayed.
Bw'aba agenda ku ssomero n'asaba.
And we have done a lot of things together.
Era tukoze ebintu bingi ffe babiri.
I was thinking of who was going to lead prayer in our ministry the way she has been doing.
Era mbadde ndowooza ani agenda okukulembera essaala mu buweereza bwaffe nga bw'abadde akulembera.
She prayed for our children. We raised 10 children under our roof.
Tukuzza abaana 10 mu nnyumba yaffe.
And all the 8
Era bonna 8
got married.
bonna ne bafumbirwa.
All the
ne
8.
bawasa.
Kubanga twali tuva mu background nga tezirina nnyo bufumbo.
Because bali bava emabega eyo gye bava nga teri nnyo.
Tugamba tugenda kusaba ekintu kyaffe kibe kyanjawulo.
So we said we will pray that our situation be
And she
different.
was not only praying for ours.
Ate abe tasabira abaffe bokka.
She adopted my sister's children
Yatwala abaana ba
who
mwannyinaawe
don't know that she was really seriously praying for them.
abatamanya nti no yali abasabira
Apart
nnyo.
from one, Norman was here. Norman, where is Norman?
Norman
Dr.
abadde wano.
Norman.
Where is Norman?
Yeah, the one who read.
Ono yasomye
And she
okusoma
also
Bayibuli
had
okwokubiri.
others. Nalabye Sheila somewhere.
N'abalala, there was Sheila somewhere.
And Eva Natkunda.
And even
My
Natkunda.
sister got married in Mpalalas, Rwampara side.
Mwannyina yafumbirwa eyo
Yeah, so,
n'atwala abaana be.
yeah, Norman. Oyo yakulira waffe naye
That
mwana.
Norman.
Yeah, ngwino Norman. Norman
That Norman
Kamugira
was one of those people that
is
we
a
raised.
doctor, musajja mugezi nnyo,
He's a doctor, he's a very clever
working
man.
in Heart Institute.
Akola mu Heart Institute e Mulago.
Omusajja ono yasoma ebitabo bulungi nnyo, yagenda okutuuka
He
bakuweera
read
ddi mu scholarship.
He read his books.
From P5
P5
up to university.
teyaddamu kusasula.
He got a
So
scholarship from
when
P5
Maria
to
Priyan came
university.
here,
Maria Priyan bwe yajja e Uganda.
because she was a very good friend of ours,
because yali
I
mukwano
told her
gwaffe nnyo.
I have my children
N'amugamba ninayo
who
abaana
lost both their parents.
nga
Can you
tebalina
write them
bazadde
in the
baabwe.
program? She wrote them in their program.
N'abateeka mu programu ye bw'abo abaasooka
She
ddala mu
was one
programu
of them.
era
Kuba nali
n'omwalimu kubasa
sisobola, nali
because I couldn't.
musumba.
I was a pastor.
But for him, he did not give, he started up to primary 5
But
and got a scholarship until
okuva
went to Budo,
ba
Makerere,
P5
did
Norman
medicine.
yali ku programu eyo n'agenda amasomero
N'abalala
amalungi.
waliwo magistrate wanali
And
ludda.
some others is a magistrate here.
Natukunda, where is Natukunda?
Eva Natkunda
And Shira.
and Sheila.
Shira, munzijukize erinnya nammwe Shira. Ninsima.
And Nsima.
So twacrossinga ne tudda eri ne tuzaalayo.
So twagenda n'eri and
Bano abaana.
we got
Naye
those children.
ng'abasabira equally. The
And
way
she
he was
used to
praying.
pray for them.
And all of
Muchenka.
them got married. All of them.
Era bonna baafumbirwa ne bawasa.
Kati Sarah teyakuza bano baana bokka.
So Sarah just didn't raise up her
Could
young children.
adopt children.
She would adopt
She
children.
loved Melissa. Yasomye wano mwana ate.
Ng'ayagala Meriso yasomye ekyandiko
Nga
ekisooka.
naye amusabiranga bw'asaba
And
bw'ati.
she used to pray the way she prays for her.
Ng'abasabira alina abaana be baalondamu.
She could pray for children, the one she adopted.
She was a wonderful woman.
Abadde mukyala
I'm
omulala.
telling you, she is going to be missed.
Mbabuulira tugenda
Nga
musubu.
bamuyita nyumba ya chuma yange, you know.
They used to call her my
She
strong
could-
lady.
nze saagala kwala buliri.
I don't lay the bed.
Saagala kwala
I
buliri.
don't like it.
But she could tell me yala obuliri obuvuddemu.
She would say, go and lay the
N'abunjazisa
bed,
ne
you're the
butatereera
last one in.
n'abutereeza.
And then she will come
Ne
and
ngenda mu
make
kinaabiro
it.
n'ankwata ku mukono n'anzizayo n'agamba longoosa.
And then she will come to get me on the hand and say,
Ne nongoosa
please,
sinki.
please make up the sink.
N'amaana n'agamba atenyiridde tuddeyo.
And then say it is not well
Yakulaga
done. Let's go
bazinga
back.
ettawulo.
I want to show you how they fold a towel.
N'andaga.
And then she could show me.
Ne nvaayo naye ebimu nagaano biyiga
Some of them I just refused to
paka
learn
lwagenze.
until
Kati
she's
kino kye
gone.
bayita love bears all things.
And
She
then-
had it.
Kino kye bagamba nti okwagala kubikka
She
byonna.
was able to bear.
She used
Bye
to.
sisobola.
Bino byonna yabigumira. The
But
ones
she
I
was
couldn't do.
amazing. She could wake me up
Abadde mukyala
and we could
wenjawo.
move to the bedrooms of these kids.
Nga ayinza okunzukusa ne tugenda mu bisenge by'abaana.
Nanga tubateekeko emikono tugenda tubasabira
And
nga
then
bato
Celeste our hands on them.
twogerera mu bwongo bwabwe, you know, make good decisions and all that.
N'atusaba
Pleading the
bakolenga
blood of Jesus,
okusalawo
then we
ku-
went back to sleep.
ne tumanya tuddayo ne twebaka.
She was simanyi.
She was a different
Now
person.
lwakuba Apostle Mulinde kati amaze okwogera ebigambo birungi nnyo.
But now you know
Ne
Apostle has
Bishop
finished.
Kiganda yagaye tetusobola kubuuza Mukama lwaki amututte
And
kati.
Bishop Chiganda said we can't
Kubanga
ask her why.
tetwamwebuuzaako ng'amuleeta.
Because he never
Naye
asked
obwedda
anyone
ngamba
for
naye
opinion
Mukama
when he
ono
was
gwe
praying.
oba bankubye ekikompola.
But I constantly ask,
In the
was
middle of
it
the battle.
you or there's an arrow that
Kubanga
struck me?
this is something I feared most.
Kubanga kino kye nali nsinga okutya.
To lose the wife of my youth.
Okubeera nga nfiiriddwa mukyala wange obuvubuka bwange.
Yeah, I've seen the experience. It's not good. It's not good.
Nkirabye wantu wangi si kintu
It's
kyangu.
very, very difficult.
Kintu kizibu.
Okujjawo nga Mukama omusabe n'omugamba kati Mukama nfuula Nazarite.
And unless
From
I
now on.
ask the
N'ebiddako
Lord to
biba
make me a
bizibu.
Nazarite, and kimanyi the next step is very
That's
difficult.
why I always thought maybe I will go before her.
And that's why nagambanga
And all the words I
oba
could talk to her was me going before.
ngende nga ye
Because she wanted to be
akyaliwo.
90, me I wanted to go 80.
Era namugambanga ebigambo ebiraga nti nze njagala ngende nga ye akyaliwo.
But to my surprise,
Naye
she
okwekyewo
went before me because I thought she was more powerful than me.
kubanga nze nalowooza nti wamaanyi okunsinga.
But in all,
Naye mu byonna
I would like to take this opportunity
njagala kutwala omukisa guno
to appreciate all of you.
okubasiima mwenna.
Abasumba mbakyukira
Abasumba,
Sinagenda
I turn
wa-
to you.
munda z'okwagala.
Thank you for showing me that love.
Munda z'okwagala. I
You've
don't know.
showed me
Simanyi
love.
bwe nsasula bbanja Bishop Kiganda.
I don't know how to repay the debt that Bishop Chiganda's.
The first person who came was Bishop Kiganda.
Omuntu eyasooka
He
okujja
has
yali Bishop
cancelled
Chiganda.
everything.
Buli kimu yakisazaamu.
Kati nali simanyirwa nti Bishop Kiganda tanjagala bw'atyo.
I don't
Kati
know
bulijjo
why Bishop.
twagalana ebyokuwagala naye nga twagalana mu ngeri
We love each other.
enyumya
Our
eyekyalira
way.
saagala muyiwa
Yeah.
kuba Bishop Kiganda bwakuyita n'otojja.
When Bishop Chiganda
Agamba,
calls you and you don't come.
You did not explain why you did not.
ajja
Akusindikira
kugamba
message n'onnyonnyola.
tewambuulidde lwaki tewazze.
Kakati Bishop Kiganda yasooka abaddewo ever.
Bishop Kiganda was the first to come and he has been here all
Bishop
the days.
Wadimba.
Bishop
Semambo.
Bishop Semambo.
Pastor Mulinde.
Apostle
As
Mulinde.
usual natya n'omukubira.
Na bulijjo era natya n'okusooka omukubira. I fear to call him.
Sigenda mutika. I think
I
yes.
didn't want to load another